Chair calls the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District regular board meeting to order. Can we please pause for a moment of silent prayer? Amen. Chair will entertain a motion to amend the regular agenda to add consideration of executive session as number 6, moving 4.2 is item number 7, moving 4.26 is item number 8, adding 4.3A immediately behind 4.3, making item number 6 item number 9, and making item number 7 number 10. I said once again, Chair will entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add consideration of executive session to number 6, adding 4.2 as item number 7, moving 4.26 as item number 8, adding 4.3A immediately behind 4.3, making item number 6 item number 9, and making item number 7 item number 10. Chair will entertain a motion.
Madam President, question.
Yes.
For 4.3A, what would that be?
4.3A is approval of revised board policy GBRI. Approval of revised board policy GBRI.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So moved.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Chair will entertain a motion to amend the agenda.
To accept the amended agenda.
I can read.
To accept the amended agenda.
To approve, I'm sorry, the amended agenda.
So moved.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Good evening. Superintendent's report for July 6, 2021. For the month of June, there were 0 cases of COVID-19 reported in the district. School reopening. All students will return to school on Thursday, August 5th, 2021. All students must wear their school uniforms. Information regarding school uniforms and colors will be located in the district's 2021-2022 school reopening plan. Additional information will be shared by each school's principal and on the district's Facebook page. Once finalized, the district will post its reopening plan to its website at www.glcsd.org for everyone to view. Our principals will be attending the Mass Summer Alliance in Biloxi, Mississippi to attend professional development sessions offered by the Alliance. Assistant principals will remain in the district. Online registration and verification began May 24th of 2021. All parents must have an active parent account. Please contact your child's school to request a 12-digit active code to begin the online registration process. Active parent accounts can be created by going to greenwood.activeparent.net. In-person registration will begin July 19th through the 30th of 2021. Parents and guardians may go to their child's school to register their children. For registration, 2 proofs of residency are required. For more information, please contact your child's school. All 7th grade students will need proof of a Tdap vaccination before entry into school. This concludes the superintendent's report.
Chair will entertain a motion to receive the superintendent's report.
Question, Madam President.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Bell.
Dr. Brown. Is there any consideration or planning, as it pertains to maybe hosting, Google Meet sessions for each of the schools, where you can have a Q&A session for parents and students, since we are returning to the facility?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Any other question, board member? Chair will entertain a motion to receive the superintendent's report. There's been motion and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Chief, monthly reports, do we have them?
I think the request was, last week, the principals would only do the paper report and we would submit the paper report for chiefs. So you have the paper reports for the chiefs.
Okay. All right, so we moving on, Dr. Brown. Okay.
Mr. Johnson, since Ms. Hudson is not available, how many bus drivers are we short?
Sure, 8 bus drivers.
8? Okay, thank you.
So that mean that, that department is working diligently to find them, right?
Yes, we're employing our faculty and staff for those that may be interested in obtaining a license. I think our biggest problem is finding those that already are properly licensed with the bus CDL, but we are encouraging our current staff members that's interested in getting it, that we will provide the necessary training to assist them with getting their bus license. But we're also asking if anyone knows of anyone that's interested and currently has a bus license to contact not only the personnel department but also the transportation department.
Mr. Johnson, so what is the plan in the event that you don't get those bus drivers?
As we currently did this summer, whenever we're short, we have to double up on routes. Our bus drivers have to pull a longer or earlier shift to ensure that our students still arrive at school on time.
So that's gonna cause those bus drivers to accrue more time.
Correct.
So, Dr. Brown, do you know, are we still following, COVID restrictions when schools open back up as far as buses in the schools? What's the update on that?
So, when school start, we will continue to make sure that the kids are safe pertaining to COVID, the, face mask, we are requiring face masks. Social distancing is still required. Everything that we're doing, we're going to continue to require. Now, as it pertains to the buses, I haven't spoken with Ms. Hudson or Mr. Johnson. We are working on our reopening plan. We plan to have it finished by this Thursday. So as far as I think the question may be the seating, are we going to limit the seating on the buses?
The seating will be limited, but not like they would have been limited this past school year, because we will have a bus monitor on there. We will try to ensure that we have people from the same household being able to sit on the seats together and being socially distancing between those that are not.
So it would be Dr. Hodges, Dr. Brown, that's keeping an eye on that, because just listening and reading, I saw statements from Dr. Dobbs and from Dr. Fauci that the numbers are increasing again,
Right.
dealing with COVID.
Yes, ma'am. So it will be Dr. Hodges as well as the nurses, but Dr. Hodges will be the person that's overseeing that and reporting the numbers and making sure that those precautionary measures are in place.
Okay. All right, Dr. Brown.
Next, we have our school improvement grant updates. You have the SIG updates for Greenwood High School, SIG updates for Greenwood Middle School, and SIG updates for Threadgill Elementary School.
The Threadgill Elementary, Greenwood Middle, and Greenwood High have completed its final and fourth year of the SIG grant. During the grant, Threadgill Elementary School saw increases in gains as it relates to accountability, moving from a D to a C level rating, with the greatest increases in sixth grade math by 20% as an increase, and fourth grade math a 24-point increase. For Greenwood Middle School, as measured by the accountability rating, the middle school moved from a D accountability rating to a B accountability rating, with the greatest increases in 7th and 8th grade math, 31% increase in proficiency for 8th grade math, and 35% increase in 7th grade math. For Greenwood High School, greatest accountability rating of a C, with the greatest gains in Biology 1, 24 point for proficiency increase, and Algebra 1, 20.5% increase. And the greatest accomplishment of all of these was the increase in graduation rate from 71% to 90% during the lifetime of the grant. This includes the report as it relates to SIG.
And who was it that was overseeing, Roby?
Ms. LaShawna Roby Purnell, yes, ma'am.
Right, kudos to her and her team.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have the school at risk report for East Elementary and the additional targeted support and interventions report for Leflore County Elementary.
Good afternoon. The principal and school staff at both schools are currently working to analyze this past year's student performance data, prioritize staff needs for the upcoming school year, and prepare student schedules for the fall. And so we're working with each of those teams, and we will do this in the month of July to ensure that all schedules for students are created with the goal in mind to increase student achievement. And so we know that it starts with scheduling. We're not just, randomly or just haphazardly creating our schedules. We're really looking at our data to create the best schedule for students. Dr. Brown.
Next, we have the 16th section report, Mr. Ainsworth.
Good news is they submitted a bid, and they submitted a bid for the exact same amount, which is $1,250. That represents $13.86 per acre. So would you want to take these individually on a motion, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's do individual, so we go with the first one.
Okay.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve an agricultural lease to Porter Planning on 16 through 18 North 1 East, containing 450 acres, ML, at a fair market rent of $40,500. It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Mr. Ainsworth.
Well, we approve, I recommend approving the bid from the Leflore County Hunting and Fishing Club for the amount of $1,250 per year on a 5-year contract.
Chair will entertain a motion to accept the bid for Hunting and Fishing Club for a 5-year lease at $1,250. Second. It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Mr. Ainsworth.
The next item is a hunting and fishing contract been advertised. You see it 1617 North 1 West, 265.9 acres. bid that we're gonna open up is TH Evans Farms. You'll notate this bid that's been received, in the amount of $15,000. So that is our first bid that we're opening up, that section. So this second bid is submitted by Tanglewood Wildlife LLC, which I mentioned, they are your existing leaseholder. And let me remind you, by law, in section 29.3.41, they would have the right to match the high bid since they participate in the process. They submitted a bid in the amount of $7,500. So standard policy is I would contact them, give them up to 5 days to decide if they want to match the $15,000. If they choose to do so, yes, sir.
We're with Tanglewood Hunting Club. We would like to see the bid, that LNH Farms, that, just a point of order.
Absolutely. What we can do is make you a copy of it.
That would be perfect, yeah. Are the bidders required to be here?
No, sir, they're not. They're not required.
They must have changed some reasons.
No, sir, they're not required. So that will, basically handle that particular, opening of the bids on 17 North 1 West. As mentioned, Tanglewood Wildlife would have 5 business days to decide if they want to match the high bid, and that high bid was submitted for $15,000. So that will, take us to the next 2 items. The standard procedure, as a hunting lease expires, we file termination notice with the county clerk's office, and we'll go ahead and, approve both of those. We can do that under one motion, and that would be the end of the report, and open any questions you might have.
Okay, so what did you just say about the third one?
So the third item that you, the bid that we just opened, Tanglewood Wildlife Inc., they are your existing leaseholder.
Mm-hmm,
And by law, the existing leaseholder has the right to match the high bid. And the gentleman here would have the right to be able to match that bid, the amount of $15,000.
yeah, I got that, I thought that was on number 2.
No,
That was number
2
3.
was just one bid,
Okay,
and you approved it, and it was in the name
Okay.
of the Leflore County Hunting Fishing Club for $1,250.
okay. All right, Chair will entertain a okay, go ahead.
What was Tanglewood's, bid?
Tanglewood was $7,500, which is exactly what they were paying for.
Okay.
Mhm. Chair will entertain a motion to file a termination notice to H&F contract, 1622 North 2 West and 1617 North 1 West.
And what you're doing is, like I said, those are the 2 contracts that bid you just opened up on. We need to do a termination notice, because you don't ever know if they're gonna be the same leaseholders. You're giving notice to the change of clerk and tax assessors. Those leases have expired, and now we'll be drawing up new contracts to new leaseholders, okay?
So moved.
It's been moved and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried.
Any questions about any of the items we went over?
No questions, thank you, Mr. Ainsworth.
Thank you for your time.
Dr. Brown.
Approval of the revised 2021-2022 classified salary scale. You have that as an updated attachment.
Just one of the items that we moved. So we're on page 25.
Okay. Okay. Approval of revised board policy GBA, professional personnel compensation guides and contracts. Page 25. Attorney Pruitt.
This policy is the policy that you all had looked at previously, so that the employees' experience would match the salary scale.
This is the one that Ms. Washington needed before proceeding. Any other question, board members? Dr. Brown?
The Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's Board of Trustees is requesting to suspend Board Policy BDC, Board Policy Adoption, in order to immediately approve the revision of Board Policy, I'm on the wrong one, I'm sorry. The Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's Board of Trustees is requesting to suspend Board Policy BDC, Board Policy Adoption, in order to immediately approve the revision of Board Policy GBA, Professional Personnel Compensation Guides and Contracts.
Could you read the recommendation as if the recommendation is coming from you?
Okay. The Greenwood Leflore, the superintendent is requesting to suspend Board Policy BDC, Board Policy Adoption, in order to immediately approve the revision of Board Policy GBA, Professional Personnel Compensation Guides and Contracts.
Chair will entertain a motion to suspend Board Policy BDC, Board Policy Adoption, in order to immediately approve the revision of Board Policy GBA, Professional Personnel Compensation Guides and Contracts.
Madam President?
Yes.
So moved, subject to corrections. I noticed in the typo where it only mentioned his versus his or her. So, so moved, subject to those corrections.
Second. Could you, Ms. Flowers, put those corrections in our minutes to reflect that? So it's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Approval of Board Policy Revision GBRI, absence from duty, Attorney Kevin Pulley.
Board members, this is the policy. If you would look on the last page at number 14, that in the bold section. This portion was discussed in executive session at the last meeting.
Dr. Brown.
The Greenwood Leflore Consolidated, is this?
Also, recommendation has to come from you.
Okay. The superintendent is requesting to suspend Board Policy BDC, Board Policy Adoption, in order to immediately approve the revision of Board Policy GBRI, absence from duty.
Chair will entertain a motion to suspend Board Policy BDC, Board Policy Adoption, in order to immediately approve the revision of Board Policy GBRI, absence from duty. The motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Approval of,
Ms. Flowers, make sure that the record show that Dr. Bailey voted nay. Okay, Dr. Brown.
page 30, request for transfer of employees' children for the 2021-2022 school year. Attached is a list of children whose parents are district employees. These employees live outside the school district or previously lived outside the school district before consolidation and have requested permission to transfer their children into the district or permission to allow their children to continue attending the school they were previously registered at for the 2021-2022 school year. The superintendent recommends school board approval of the request on the attached list for transfers of district employees' children into the school district for the 2021-2022 school year.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the request on the attached list for transfers of district's employees' children into the school district for 21-22. The motion is second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
School bus routes for the 2021-2022 school year. Mr. Johnson.
Attached is a list of school bus routes for the 2021-2022 school year.
Questions, Madam President?
Go ahead, Dr. Brown.
Dr. Brown or Mr. Johnson, I know some time ago, we talked about, particularly the slaughter area and those students there, and the amount of time that it takes to bus them over to, Amanda Elsie and I believe Claudine Brown, with those students having to get up so early in the morning. Did we do our due diligence in maybe speaking with the parents to see, if they were open to maybe sending their children to Leflore instead of Claudine Brown and Amanda Elsie to kind of reduce the length of time that it takes to transport them to school?
We did pull the information on those students. It's about 61 students that live in the Menor City, Slaughter area and the Money area. I think it was about 9 that would be affected in the Money area, could possibly be zoned to Bankston / Greenwood Middle / Greenwood High zone. We had about 50 to 51 that would be, that could possibly rezone to LaFleur County Elementary and LaFleur County High School zone. But to answer your question, at this time we have not received any feedback from parents in those areas to see what their concerns are. We will reach out to them. Right now we will actually have to have a school conversation, have the schools to call to have that conversation. But one of the recommendations that I would propose is to actually do the rezoning and possibly give those individuals an option to continue at their current school if it's their desire, provided they can provide their own transportation. Because in effect, if we hold them and they did and we had a mixed number, then that still would affect our bus route system, and then we'd be trying to transport not only from Slaughter to LaFleur, but still Slaughter to those other schools.
Madam President, with this said, I would ask the board to consider tabling this at this time, just to give the district an opportunity, if it's 2 or 3 days, to speak with the parents to see how do they feel in regards to potentially sending their children to a different school for the sake of transportation, the length or the time it takes to transport the students.
So how long has it been that y'all reached out to them?
But the issue is being able to get in phone contact with them. At this point, we will have to send out letters and hope they respond.
I'm saying, but how long ago was that?
That was before school was out.
So you saying like in May?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, discussion.
Madam President,
Go ahead.
would we need to discuss with the, legal counsel about how long if parents, if we get feedback in a timely manner, how long would it take us to move into that rezoning process and procedure?
But if they reached out in May and it's July, School started in August, that's what I'm looking at.
Not, no, I haven't received any response.
What was the method of communication?
School call, phone calls at this point. We only had a small number of individuals to contact. It was an issue with numbers. Because doing a poll, it would be hard to do a district-wide poll for just a select number of individuals.
So polling, as opposed to, just targeting those, students or families that do live in those areas. So are you polling, or can it be just
Well,
a direct contact?
and that's what initially it was a direct phone call.
Okay.
Now we would try the letters if that would, I'm not sure about we will receive the response back from filling out letters or not.
Board members, so what are your thoughts? Cause they've been reaching out since May and it's July, school starts in August.
And if at the board discretion, we can always update the bus routes if anything changes, if it does happen. I mean, you could approve what's currently here, and if those adjustments are made, then they could be updated at a upcoming board meeting prior to August.
Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the district's school bus routes for the 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the district school bus routes for 21-22 as presented. Second. It's been motioned and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Let the record show that Dr. Kalanya Moore voting nay. Dr. Brown.
Approval of the 2021-2022 Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District Student Handbook. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, would you speak up a little bit?
The 2021-2022 student handbook for the Greenwood Leflore County School District was provided for your information. Updates have been made, and there are some modifications to reflect the changes based on school sites, and that was simply known as a personnel change.
Go ahead.
Mr. Johnson, is each student given a hard copy of a handbook?
No.
So, what are they expected to do?
The information is given, it's an online copy provided that they can access online. Since we have existed as Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District, we have not provided each student a copy of the handbook, but a handbook with the principals will have those available on site if they're desired.
So you all don't collect the acknowledgement receipts anymore?
Yes, it's an acknowledgement receipt, and it's at the back. If you have your copy, if you look at the back, and it acknowledges that the handbook is found online in the places that they can download a copy. It has that on the acknowledgement page. I don't have it in front of me.
Are they available if they would like a hard copy?
Yes, they can request a hard copy, and the principals will print out a hard copy.
Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the 2021-2022 student handbook.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 21-22 student handbook. It's been motioned and second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Let the record show, that Dr. Bailey is voting nay. Dr. Brown.
Approval of the 2021-2022 Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's Professional and Classified Staff Handbook. Mr. Johnson.
You will provide copies of the 2021-2022 staff handbook for the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District. Updates were made and modification was made to reflect the changes for the upcoming school year. And those also included personnel numbers, pay schedules, and other things that had to be changed.
Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
Mr. Johnson, does that handbook, have a acknowledgement page as well?
Yes, it's the very last page.
Any other questions, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the 2021-2022 staff handbook.
I have a question to ask on this, in this handbook, does it deal with, information regarding like FMLA and things like that, Dr. Brown? Donated leave and all that?
Yes, it actually addresses the board policy as it relates to FMLA, the leave. It actually has a copy of the actual policy and also refers them to, look at the policy as it relates on the board's webpage.
Okay.
I have a question now.
Mhm.
Okay, so we just made some policy changes to that, and you say salary scale was.
Yeah, and we will have to update those.
Okay.
Any, as they change, we will have to update, and we also have a clause in there to tell them to visit the school district webpage throughout the year for any updates or revisions to policy.
So any updates that come from the business office, you all update?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the 2021-2022 staff handbook.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 21-22 staff handbook.
So moved.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Let the record show Dr. Roshan Bailey is voting nay. Dr. Brown.
Approval of use of facilities, Greenwood Little Theater. Mr. Johnson.
The Greenwood Consolidated School District is requesting permission to allow the Greenwood Leflore Theater to utilize Davis Elementary Auditorium for long-term performance and practices based on a proposed agreement. According to when they presented on Thursday, they was getting with their lawyer to help draw up that agreement. And of course, it would be provided to our lawyer for final review and approval before they would actually start. It's just the FYI, but they did give the proposal that's on the attached page.
Any questions?
I think we should wait until we get that information from them. I know they didn't know that thing.
When you say wait, I mean what? On what?
The information that Mr. Johnson says that they're getting ready to provide us, we don't have any legalities or anything. There may be something in the contract that we don't agree to, and we go ahead and approve the relationship now. So,
Attorney Pulley.
oh, okay.
So, if there's anything in an agreement that this board and you, don't agree with, we can always make another board, correct?
Well, you would be approving them to use the facility, and so as it states right now, they would have to have, before they use the facility, they'd have to have the certificate of insurance, liability insurance in the amount of $1 million to use the facility. That is correct. I've not seen any type of agreement, but if there's an agreement that comes forward and there's something that we disagree with, we can always come back to do that. However, if it is you all's wish not to do that, as with all the other agreements, we normally have it before you actually take action on it. So that would be you all's call on what you decide to do.
So, go ahead, Ms.
What I'm
Abrams.
saying is, I mean, the approval would be our vote based on this is our intent to go through with this on the recommendation. stipulation that the contract is a red bus, that we approve the contract.
Yeah, but what he's saying, Ms. Abraham, is that we require, $1 million proof of insurance and, whatever else is in our policy, so at this time, we don't have that.
But in the past, board members, we have approved,
Subject to.
subject to getting that information.
Okay, so we say pending.
Pending,
So we
yes,
add
yes.
that to
We
our
have, we have done
recommendation.
that in the past, and I don't think there would be any problem.
Okay, so Dr. Brown, could you please put pending proof of insurance, whatever it says in our policy?
Madam President,
Mr. Bullock, yes.
would proof of insurance be the only,
No, that's what I'm asking
Okay.
about our policy. Do you know it offhand, Mr. Bullock?
Proof of, the proof of, liability insurance in the amount of $1 million, and, any contractual obligations that, they did state at the meeting, at the work session, that they had some sort of, memorandum of understanding that they would get to us, and so, pending, approval of that, I think you all can take action today.
Go ahead, Ms. Lewis.
So in that memorandum, will it speak to, they talked about modifying the building to a certain extent. So,
They did speak about modifying the building, and I don't know if they mentioned if they would do that at their expense. I think that's what they were saying.
Mhm.
And so as long as that's in there, but you all would have to approve them doing that. I think that if that agreement comes back, you might want to bring it back before the board if there's some sort of issue as to what they would be doing structurally to the building that you would have a problem with.
I think we have to approve any of that, but my understanding is one of their board members is an attorney that's willing to work with our attorney in any way possible.
That's correct.
Dr. Brown. Any other question, board member?
Board members, there is one more thing. The policy does speak to whether you would allow them to use the facility free of charge, or whether you would be charging them a fee to use it. So the policy allows you to waive the fee, which I know we've done that in the past, but you can't charge a fee for them using it. But I think this is supposed to be a long-term use, so what the board could do is, if it's your wish, you could waive the fee if they're going to take care of all the expenses of modifying the auditorium to bring it up to speed. I think they said they would also fix maybe some of the theater seating and all that, so.
And bring in light and all that.
That's right.
Mhm.
So that's 3 items that possibly should be included in this contract for members, Madam President.
I noted, proof of liability for $1 million and any contractual obligations. What was your third thing?
I have the insurance, the fee, rental fee, and building modification. Rental fee, possibly, waiving.
Board members, I can speak with their legal counsel on tomorrow. That won't be a problem. I know them. That should, I don't think any of this is gonna be an issue.
Madam President, if I may, I would just like for the board to consider that when deliberating in regards to any cost at all or waiving the cost, again, it has been mentioned long-term, and this will not only include plays but practices as well. And we do have utility bills at that particular facility, and that's just something to definitely take into consideration.
Any other questions or comments or discussions, board member?
It's my understanding that they were seeking multiple grants to try to help pay for any expenses that we were working with the building. We have both.
Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the use of Davis Elementary's facilities by the Greenwood Little Theater for performance and practices based on the proposed agreement, pending proof of insurance, other contractual obligations, and documentation in accordance to the GLCSD's board policy.
Say the last one more time, documentation.
Okay. Pending proof of insurance, other contractual obligations, and documentation in accordance to the GLCSD's board policy.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the use of Davis Elementary facilities by the Greenwood Little Theater for performance and practices based on the proposed agreement, pending proof of liability insurance, any contractual obligations, and documentation in accordance to GLCSD board policies.
So moved.
Second, it has been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Let the record show that Dr. Kalanya Moore is voting nay. Dr. Brown.
The Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's 2021-2022 School Safety Plans, Crisis Management Plans. Mr. Johnson.
The 12 schools in the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District have updated comprehensive school safety plans. These plans must be approved annually by the school board according to Mississippi Code 37-3-87. The plans are available for review. They were at the work session.
Any questions, board members? Go
Mr.
ahead.
Johnson, are these plans, once they're adopted, are they on file with the, local law enforcement?
I would check with Mr. Brown. In the past, they were not. We just was obligated to have them on file and available for MDE. But I can check with him on making sure that our local law enforcement agency have copies of those.
Okay.
Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the district and schools 2021-2022 school safety plans, crisis management plans.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the district and schools 2021-2022 school safety plans, crisis management plans.
So moved.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Please let the record show Dr. Sean Bailey voting nay. Dr. Brown.
Approval of requests for proposals, RFP, for professional architectural services for ESSER 2 construction projects. Mr. Johnson.
The Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District requests approval of the request for proposal for professional architectural services for ESSER 2 construction projects. You will provide hard copies of those proposals at the work session. For the HVAC upgrades and replacement, Beard and Riser was the vendor selected, and their architectural service fee is 6%. For bathroom/locker room renovations, Dale Bailey and Associates, their fee was 6% of the construction cost. And for carpet replacement to tile flooring was Durrell Design Group, and their fee was 6% of construction cost. And just to note that we did have 5 architect companies to submit proposals, and all of their fees were 6%, so I think that was the standard fee across the board, so there was no low bid in this particular request for proposal.
So, Mr. Johnson, Dr. Brown, if I may, I can't remember off the top of my head. So, like, specifically speaking for bathrooms and locker room renovations, so would that mean that Leflore High, Amanda Elsie High, and Greenwood High, is that all locker rooms?
Yes, there will be all locker rooms and all bathrooms in based on the construction costs, the architect would go through and they would come up with a plan, and once he has that plan, we'll make the board aware of what those actual plans are once they come in and do the design.
So, when we went on a school tour, so that means that things that we saw like out of compliance, like with those showers and things like that, so they will be bringing them up to date?
Up to date, and our preference is based on the funding for ESSA 2. There may be, once they get and actually see, our needs may exceed our funds, and in that case, we may be looking to extend the projects into part of ESSA 3, to the ESSA 3 funding. I just want to preference that because until they actually get in and do the actual cost analysis of what it would take to bring it to where we need to be, I'm not sure. We were only funded 11 million for these 3 projects based on the ESSA 2 funding. So I'm not sure exactly how far that's going to stretch when we're dealing with 12 schools.
Okay, so what about the HVAC upgrades and replacements? So would every school be
Yes.
properly, okay? And so with the carpet replacement to tile floor, and that's your discretion, Dr. Brown's discretion and the team discretion, right?
Right now, we know Davis Elementary is the main school because it is all carpet. So that would be the priority one. When we have wing C or E, maybe E at Greenwood High, it's all carpet that needs to be changed. Most of our other schools are all tile, except for maybe office areas.
Okay, any other question, board members?
I have a question, Madam
Go ahead,
President.
Dr.
Mr. Johnson, you said this one was ESSA 2, the limit for this particular funding was 11 million.
Yes.
So would all of these vendors and their service fees, would that deplete at 11 million?
At this point, I would hope not, but until they actually get in and do the cost analysis, I couldn't honestly tell you that it would not. But it is possible that it will deplete this and we may have to go into ESSA 3 to continue the project.
Question, well, just
Go
a
ahead.
statement, Madam President, and this is to my colleagues here on the board. I think this is a prime example of why at some point we need to make a decision on what we're going to do as it pertains to new school buildings. We're literally talking about putting $11 million into buildings that were constructed 80 years ago. And hypothetically, this could be $11 million that could be used in some other form or fashion if we collectively decide how we would like to move forward and provide first-class facilities for our students and our faculty and staff here in the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District.
Any discussion, board members?
Hopefully, we will get around to discussing the consolidation. I do know that we could use this money elsewhere, but I think this money is earmarked for this type of work, isn't it, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, we had that seek approval prior.
Mr. Johnson, how soon are these, renovations scheduled to take place?
Well, once I notified the architects that they were awarded, they would create the design. I honestly will be able to give you a timeline once they give me their timeline. Then I can provide that timeline to the board.
So will some of this interfere with, school?
I will make sure that when I speak to the architects that the contractors are aware that we are in the middle of school and make adjustments as necessary to hopefully do the majority of the work after hours, possibly on weekends.
But does it necessarily all of it have to be done? Because like on some schools are big and have, restrooms where maybe they just can't use it on that hall.
And those are some of the things we had discussed.
Right.
Those are some of the things I'm pretty sure that they would bring to the table to say how we could reroute for this until they got finished with this phase.
Any other question, board members? And Dr. Brown, could you just tell us once again this ESSER two money, could you just tell us again what is it earmarked for?
Well, these funds, as Mr. Johnson stated, are earmarked for what's on this paper, just the, upgrades for HVAC, the bathroom and carpet and tile replacement, just for this
So
11 million.
This is this only?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So pretty much that's all we could do.
And, cause we did have, I think the total was about 15 million, which we did have other areas for his academics that we had to, that learning loss had to be, covered in some other areas that some money is allocated for.
Could you just speak up a little louder?
I said it was some other areas that money had to be allocated for based off the grant. Academics was one for learning loss. So I know they have some allocations of funds out of that total of 11 million. I mean, of 15.
Board members, in the other areas that the ESSER money could be used for is air quality, and they've had webinars all over the state to explain to school districts what you could be creative in using the money for, such as new windows that would be helping air quality and HVAC systems as well. So while you cannot use the money for erecting a building, you can use it to repair windows, bathrooms, and et cetera.
And also, ESSER two was used to fund our summer learning this summer for all teachers except for those at the C schools and various other, such as some online software. It also paid for the online learning management system. So that's pretty much what those funds were used for. Of course, when we're talking about extra salaries for summer learning, that can be a cost. So that was a large portion of that remaining funding.
Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval of request for proposals, RFP, for professional services, for professional architectural services for ESSER two construction projects for HVAC upgrades and replacements. Beard and Riser Architects, 6% fee of construction costs, bathroom and locker room renovations. Dale Bailey and Associates, 6% fee of construction costs, and carpet replacements to tile flooring. Durrell Design Group, 6% fee of construction costs.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve request for proposals for professional services for professional architectural services for ESSER two construction projects for HVAC upgrades and replacement. Beard and Riser Architects, construction costs, bathroom, locker room renovations, Dale Bailey and Associates, and carpet replacement to tile flooring, Durrell Design Group, and each at a 6% fee of construction costs. It's been motioned and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried, Dr. Brown.
Approval of the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's 2021-2022 Dropout Prevention Plan. Dr. Pulley.
The dropout prevention plan for the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District has been created. This plan highlights programs designed to keep students in school and to lower student dropout rates. As required by state law, each school district shall implement an annual dropout prevention plan.
Any questions, board members?
Dr. Pulley,
Yes, ma'am.
so does this plan, it doesn't call for any outside stakeholders to participate?
What we're going to do is, as we did on last year, when school begins, we will definitely assemble a dropout prevention team and then they'll have the signature sheet to go along with that. Yes, ma'am. We wanted to bring it forth this month because last year we were able to do it later because we had some waivers due to COVID. But those are gone, and we have to, by August to, end of August to submit it. So by the next time we meet, we'll be able to have parent signatures there. Of course, the school is out, so we just were not able to do that, and we also did not want to just take the ones from last year and put it there because there could be some change.
Question, Madam President.
Okay, go ahead.
For clarification, on page 65, it has a small 9 on it. At the top, for enrollment data, if I hadn't moved too far, is that correct that we have 3 counselors to a student ratio of 26-27?
Repeat that page, 19.
At the bottom it says 65, but then it has a small 9. It's a chart. And I do understand we have social workers at schools, but 3 counselors to a student population of 26-27 for the elementary schools.
I'll double check the numbers, definitely. Of course, we were able to just pull this data that we had, but I can definitely check this, no problem.
Okay. And then also on page 74, it has a small 18. We will update this because Mrs. Ray is still shown there, and I could be mistaken, but she may no longer be in that capacity.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Thank you.
And at the time of
She
completion,
was.
yes,
Understood.
yes.
And the same with page 77. Number 8, I think it is.
Got it, yes, ma'am.
No, number 7. Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District's 2021-2022 dropout prevention plan with corrections.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the GLCSD 21-22 dropout prevention plan.
Second.
Your motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried, Dr. Brown.
The 2021-2022 instructional management plan, Dr. Pruitt.
As part of the Mississippi Public Accountability Standards 2019, each school district shall implement an instructional management system which meets the following requirements. The school district implements an instructional management system that has been adopted by the school board and includes at a minimum the competencies and objectives required in the curriculum frameworks approved by the State Board of Education that are available to all teachers in each school. The instructional management system includes a tiered instructional model in accordance with State Board of Education Policy 4300, including academic interventions, behavioral interventions, and literacy-based promotion act requirements.
Any question, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the district's 2021-2022 instructional management plan.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the district's 21-22 instructional management plan.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown?
Approval of the University of Mississippi's Memorandum of Understanding Growing Healthy Minds, Bodies, and Communities. Dr. Pruitt.
Growing Healthy Minds, Bodies, and Communities, an integrated early childhood curriculum. Growing Healthy Minds, Bodies, and Communities is an innovative standards-based curriculum that seeks to promote social-emotional learning in preschools across Mississippi through community engagement and the integration of yoga, mindfulness, gardening, nutrition, anti-bullying, anti-bias, and physical activity to support the well-being of all children.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the memorandum of understanding between the University of Mississippi of Teacher Education and the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the University of Mississippi Department of Teacher Education and the GLCSD. It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed?
No.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Let the record show that Magdalene Abraham is voting nay. Dr. Brown?
Approval of Delta Health Alliance's Memorandum of Understanding Early Learning Collaborative. Dr. Pulley.
To be eligible for state funding, all ELCs are required to have 2 or more partners, including at least one school district and at least one Head Start, if one exists within the county. These partners form a collaborative council and select a lead partner who serves as the fiscal agent of the collaborative. The lead partner coordinates a joint application for state funding. Collaboratives have a strong record of growing their students to kindergarten readiness. The spring 2019 statewide average score of pre-K collaborative students on the Mississippi Kindergarten Readiness Assessment was 575, above the fall kindergarten entry readiness score of 530, indicating that on average collaborative students are ready for kindergarten.
Any questions, board members? Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
Dr. Cooley, this speaks to the partnership having at least one Head Start. Can you speak to that in regard to our district?
Well, this would be the, in the previous year it was Gilead. But that DHA is now the overarching partner, yes. And so that's yes, that's why, that's the purpose of the MOU, yes.
Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the memorandum of understanding between the Delta Health Alliance and the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Delta Health Alliance and the GLCSD. Second. It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown?
Approval of requests for proposals for curriculum software for instruction, remediation, and enrichment K through 12th grades. Dr. Pulley.
The Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District is soliciting proposals from companies to provide software related to curriculum, instruction, remediation, and enrichment to enhance learning for all students. This software will provide the following: instruct, remediate, and enrich all standards in all subject areas K through 12 through individualized learning paths, contain formative and summative assessments for all courses, provide credit-bearing courses that are approved through the Mississippi Department of Education, and provide professional development training to teachers via Zoom and on demand through tutorials and videos.
Any questions, board members?
Question, Madam President.
Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
Dr. Cooley, is this a mandate from the state department?
No, ma'am. We assembled an elementary curriculum resources team and a secondary curriculum resources team, which consisted of district level staff and teachers across the district and across all schools. And one thing that we want to definitely make sure that we're doing is utilizing the resources that we have as effectively as possible and minimizing so many programs because we know it's not the program, it's the work of our teachers with a supplement from various programs to improve achievement. So what this program would do, we are looking for a program that can encompass many things. For example, we use one program for credit recovery. Then we use another program for benchmark assessment. Then we use another program for some online software and remediation. So we're in search for a program that can do all of those things, which would save us some money, you know, in various areas. So, for example, if we can, there are about three. I know three. Just talking that we can save money on just by being able to go with a one software, one program.
Now, I haven't heard any discussion about textbooks. Can you tell me where we are with the textbook status, or if we want to use textbooks we already have, are they obsolete, out of date? How are we moving, how are we faring around with that?
We have completed pretty much an inventory of what we have, and we know that we were out for an entire year. But the curriculum team and I have reviewed those things, and we have the requisitions sitting on the desk, and we've had some conversations with finance to be sure that the funds were available to be sure that all students had access to a hard copy. Now, as we know, that means at least a classroom set, so that each student has access to that. One thing that, in addition to that, our teachers have been using, of course, various other means to provide that instruction. But to answer your question, as it relates to textbooks, yes, we have requisitions have already been completed, and we are. I know we sent an email to finance today to just address what we're doing with textbooks. So we'll continue to provide status on that as we get those in.
Dr. Brown? I'm sorry, Ms. Lewis.
Dr. Fuller,
Yes, ma'am.
does the state provide so much funding for a textbook, per pupil?
Well, really, it's district funds pay for those, and so we, just in collaboration with the business office, we pretty much just provide a budget for that particular area, and then that's what we cover.
Dr. Brown?
So I will answer this. So, for example, last year we didn't place as much as many funds in textbooks because we knew that we were operating virtually. So this time, as we were budget planning, we knew that we had to place those amounts back in that area.
Okay, thank you.
The superintendent recommends approval of the request for proposals for curriculum software for instruction, remediation, and enrichment in grades K through 12.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the request for proposals for curriculum software for instruction, remediation, and enrichment K through 12.
So moved.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Approval of submission of the corrective action plan for June 4th, 2021 MDE monitoring report. Ms. House is here to respond to questions as well.
On April 28th and 29th of 2021, the MDE conducted a monitoring visit of the following areas of the district's federal programs: Title I, Title I Part D, Subpart 2 JDC, and Equitable Services private schools. The MDE reviewed artifacts for over 90 indicators during the two-day monitoring visit. The MDE required the districts to respond to 9 indicators in a corrective action plan.
The first thing I want to ask is that we had a corrective action plan for June 4th, and it's July what today? July 6th. Dr. Brown?
So once we received the email, I think it went to all of us. I'm not sure if I actually received it on June 4th or, in my email, but the district started responding to the corrective action, documents.
Question, Madam President?
Dr. Bailey?
Dr. Pulley, you indicated there were 90 different items reviewed, correct? About 90?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I do think that, I will say, I commend you all for the job that you're doing as it pertains to such a large number. However, being cited for 9 different issues of non-compliance is concerning. Also, looking at the amount of money that needed to be reimbursed. Can you, and I apologize for not being at the work session, but can you tell me where those funds came from that we had to send off for the reimbursement?
Right. Okay, those funds, first of all, the report was from the first year of consolidation. So they were reviewing everything that happened during the 19-20 school year. The funds was for purchase orders that was total $177,000. So at the time, they were used for programs and software for the students. And with federal funds, if you are purchasing using school level funds, you either have to use all funds from the school level and the other from the district to make up the difference.
Okay.
Well, it was used half school and half district level federal programs, which was not allowed.
Okay, so break it down.
Okay, the district receives federal funds.
I get what you're saying, so I'm
Okay,
saying.
so we receive district level federal programs funds for district level initiatives. For example, our nurses, they're paid what we call off the top for district level initiative for health, safe and healthy issues. District level initiative being programs that the district's gonna do at all schools. We can't use federal funds to pay for an item at one school with another school's funds.
I mean, I understand all that you're saying, so I'm saying, where did this breakdown happen?
Well, what should have happened when the purchase was made for iReady, it should have been all the funds that were used at the school level, once they were completed, the remainder should have came out of the district in the first place.
Okay, so I'm just saying, where is the problem coming from? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So is it the school, is it the business office, is it federal program? Where is the I don't get where it's coming from.
And it was at that time, correct?
Ma'am,
It was question, issues at that time.
yeah, we had just consolidated, like I said, it was in August, September of 2019. So when it came up for the purchase to be made, there were not enough funds at the school level federal programs funds. So the remaining were used out of the district level federal programs funds. So whatever wasn't there at the school level, the district should have picked it up to pay the difference of the $170,000+.
Question, Madam President. And thank you all again for the corrective action plan. But my question is, who's responsible for the monitoring of compliance to make sure that we are in compliance?
Okay, once the requisition has been put in, it goes through from me to Dr. Cooley to Ms. Washington to Dr. Brown. That's the chain.
Okay, say the chain one more time.
If it's put in at the district level, it goes from me to Dr. Pulley to Ms. Washington to Dr. Brown.
Okay, so the deadline for June 4th, so where would the breakdown be at from June 4th? Not getting it in on time.
That's when we received a report from MDE.
I know what I'm saying, but it said it was.
They had 30 days. So because the board did not meet prior to, so the deadline would have been July 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So we emailed to state that the board meeting would take place July 6th. So they allowed us 10 additional days to get the report in.
And that's the July 15th date that is reflected, okay.
And I will say also, when we were just consolidated, we were attempting to standardize some programs. Of course, some programs in the GPSD were being used and some were being used in the LCSD. And so when we got down to it, of course, three schools did not have enough funds to cover. And as Ms. House stated, the district should have picked up or should have been able to pick up.
I promise y'all, I get what y'all saying, but I'm saying, so, but the ball was dropped somewhere, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. I understand that you can't use this fund for that fund, and so I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out where's the problem coming from.
So we accept full responsibility of, you know, definitely just in that we want to be sure that our students had equitable opportunities to, you know, have this software.
Okay, so.
But we definitely are working, and since that time, I will say, we work to do to be sure that the equity is there for our schools, and then the funds are there to cover each particular expense.
So I would comment on that. It goes to the business manager before it comes to me. We hired a business manager for financial expertise, so by the time it comes to me, it has already gone through 2 people and the business manager. So it's there now for me to sign off. So I would have expected that if there was an issue, going to 3 different offices, that it would have been captured during that time. So I won't say, because it's 2019, so I can't really remember what happened then. I do know we were consolidating, but I would say that by the time it gets to me through so many hands, I would at least expect for there to be no issues.
So now do we have a checks and balances in place that this won't happen again?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
And I can say it, not saying it because, you know, Ms. House is here and we have the plan, but we've definitely worked with Ms. I know Ms. Nelson is one of the individuals who provide technical support for us, and we work with the MDE Office of Federal Programs, and we've been in compliance with many other areas. These are a few areas, of course, that they looked at, and I will say that that was a conversation that we had before the report even came back. But I think the error was made in not of course not intentionally, but out of a spirit of wanting to make sure that all schools had access to the same program. But we will definitely we are definitely going to abide by that corrective action plan. Yes, ma'am.
We just want to make sure that whatever has to go to MDE is going to be on time.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other question, board members? Discussion? Or comments? Dr. Brown? Thank you, Ms. House.
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the submission of the corrective action plan for June 4th, 2021 MDE monitoring report.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the submission of the correction action plan for June 4th, 2021 MDE monitoring report. There's been motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Program manuals for the Juvenile Detention Center. Ms. Coleman.
The Juvenile Detention Center is guided by policies set forth in 2 program manuals. One manual outlines policies regarding general education students, and the other details those guidelines for students with disabilities. Both of these manuals must be approved annually.
Any questions, board members?
Ms. Coleman? Yes, ma'am. Were there any major changes to this manual this year?
No, ma'am. I think while schools were virtual We did not have the opportunity or the privilege of having too much virtual instruction at the Juvenile Detention Center. We opened up earlier, so many of our processes and procedures are the same, but they just must be updated to reflect that it is a new year.
Dr. Brown?
Okay. The superintendent recommends school board approval for the 2021-2022 general and exceptional education 2021-2022 program manuals for the Juvenile Detention Center.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 21-22 general and exceptional education program manual.
So moved.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
The multi-tiered system of supports and positive behavior intervention supports. Ms. Coleman.
MTSS and PBIS are processes of systematically addressing and aligning the supports and resources for academics and behavior. Review, revisions, and board approval are required annually.
Any questions? Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval for the 2021-2022 multi-tiered system of supports and positive behavior intervention and supports manual.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 21-22 multi-tiered system of supports and positive behavior intervention and supports manual. Then motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
English Learners Migrant Manual Handbook. Ms. Cole.
The Mississippi Department of Education provides statewide leadership in promoting high-quality education for English learners and immigrant youth. The major difference between last year's manual and this year's manual is the focus on the migrant student. A migrant or immigrant student is one who is ages 3 through 21, was not born in any state or U.S. territory, and has not been in school, one or more schools in any of the states for more than 3 full academic years. To satisfy MDE requirements, the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District requests approval of the English Language Learners Migrant Handbook Manual that outlines the Title III federal funds requirement.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the English Learners Migrant Manual Handbook for the 2021-2022 academic school year.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the English Learners Migrant Manual Handbook for the 21-22 academic school year. The motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Approval of the 504 Plan Manual Handbook Gifted Proposal.
The 504 Plan Manual Handbook, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, a civil rights law, requires public schools to offer accommodations for eligible students with disabilities. These accommodations help students with special needs to participate in the Mississippi Department of Education programs and activities on an equal basis with their peers who do not have disabilities. Your child may be eligible for health services and other types of accommodations. The major difference between the 504 Plan Manual this year and last year is that this year the requirement is that students not be eligible for special education services first before they may become eligible for the 504 plan.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the 504 Manual Handbook for the 2021-2022 academic school year.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 504 Manual Handbook for the 21-22 academic school year. Motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Approval of the 2021-2022 Gifted Education Proposal. Ms. Coleman.
The Mississippi Department of Education's Office of Elementary Education and Reading requires school districts to submit a gifted education program proposal. The proposal includes a selection of the various categories for the identification process of gifted students. names the instrument that will be used in our local program, and includes the minimum score required for students in grades 2 through 6 to be eligible for the gifted education program.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval for the 2021-2022 gifted education program proposal for students in grades 2 through 6 to be submitted to the Mississippi Department of Education for the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 21-22 gifted education program proposal for students in grades 2 through 6 to be submitted to the Mississippi Department of Education for GLCSD.
So moved.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown?
Approval of the gifted manual handbook.
The Mississippi Gifted Education Act of 1989, as amended in 1993, mandates that each public school district within the state provide gifted education programs for intellectually gifted students in grades 2 through 6. The purpose of this guidance is to ensure that gifted children are identified and offered an appropriate education based upon their exceptional abilities. Because of their unusual capabilities, they require uniquely qualitatively different educational experiences not available in the regular classroom. These uniquely different programs are required to enable gifted students to realize their abilities and potential contributions to self and society. To satisfy MDE requirements, the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District requests approval of the gifted proposal and manual that outline the policy procedures for the gifted program for hybrid, virtual, and the traditional setting.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the gifted proposal and manual handbook for the 2021-2022 academic school year.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the gifted proposal manual handbook for 21-22 academic school year.
So moved. Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown?
Approval of the revised dyslexia policy handbook. Ms. Cole.
In accordance with the 2010 Mississippi Best Practices Dyslexia Handbook, we are asking board approval of our revised policy. The difference between last year's handbook and this year's handbook is that the amended policy includes language regarding IEP and 504 plans for children who are diagnosed with dyslexia in accordance with House Bill 754. The district must make an initial determination of whether a student diagnosed with dyslexia requires an IEP. If not, the district will proceed with the process to determine if the student is eligible for a 504 plan. The district will conduct 4 hours of in-service training in dyslexia every 3 years for all professionals responsible for the instruction in accordance with MDE standards. This new revision to the policies in accordance with House Bill 754 issues additional supports for students who may be struggling in the area of academics and gives us another opportunity to help students and those that are in need with specific interventions geared toward dyslexia and making sure that we eliminate or IEP, special ed services, or 504.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the revised dyslexia policy for the 2021-2022 academic school year.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the revised dyslexia policy for 21-22 academic school year.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown?
Approval of special education contractual services.
The Special Education Department provides related services to children with disabilities whose IEPs indicate the need for related services. The related services allow the students to receive educational interpreters, physical and occupational therapy, psychological services, speech language, and psychometry services. Services for Mill Creek and the Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation are also covered under this umbrella. Approval of these services ensures district compliance and IEP implementation.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown?
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the contractual services regarding the rules and regulations of IDEA and for the implementation of IEPs.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the contractual services regarding the rules and regulations of IDEA and for the implementation of IEPs. Second, it's been motioned and second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Page 171.
The Special Education Department provides day treatment, residential, and other services through Mill Creek of Pontotoc schools to students whose least restrictive environment may not be the traditional public schools. The Special Education Department hosts individual educational meetings to examine data and determine students' least restrictive environment and those whose IEPs indicate the need for private placement.
Any questions, board members? Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends school board approval of the Mill Creek of Pontotoc Schools agreement regarding the rules and regulations of IDEA and for the implementation of IEP.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the Mill Creek of Pontotoc Schools agreement regarding the rules and regs of IDEA and for implementation of IEP.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Dr. Brown.
Page 197. Claims docket and financial information. Mrs. Washington.
Good evening. All right. Attached, you have the final, financial reports for the month ending May 2021. You will have a cash balance, fund balance, the budget status report, the cash flow statement, and the claims docket. The bank reconciliation, I thought I would have it in time, but they are partially complete, and I'll have, May and June ready for you before the next, by the next board meeting. Expenditures to date are within budget amounts. The cash balances on hand are sufficient to cover immediate and current projected expenses. Does the board have any questions for me?
Question, Madam President?
Go ahead, Dr. Bailey.
Good evening, Ms. Washington. On page 215, claim number 948505. 948505. Can you speak to what?
Give me that page number again.
I'm sorry, page 215? Yes, ma'am.
Can you say that claim number again?
948505.
You see it, Ms. Washington? Oh,
And, Ms. Washington, on another page, 219, 948635. 948635. And there are a couple of those, but I thought at one point we discussed maybe no longer providing that.
It's Dr. Bailey,
I'm sorry.
excuse me, Dr. Bailey, for that claim there,
Mm-hmm.
it's embedded inside of their project. That's not a district expense.
Okay.
It's part of the special education, project.
Okay.
So those individuals must travel.
Thank you for the clarity.
Yes, sir.
On that order, 505. Instruments.
Can you talk louder, Mr. Johnson?
Those are band instruments.
Is that for all schools or just one particular school?
Seeing, I think it's one particular school.
If I'm not mistaken, that's for Leflore County High School.
So are the other schools gonna be given the option if they need instruments as well to receive those? Okay, all right. Thank you.
But, Dr. Brown, if the other schools have instruments, do they just have to get new instruments because Leflore High is getting instruments?
No, ma'am, the
Okay.
band director's order was needed.
Right, okay. Any other questions, board members? Okay, Dr. Brown.
The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the May financial reports and the payment of claims 948,495 through 948,761 for the Greenwood Leflore Consolidated School District.
And what page does this end on?
Page 291.
Do y'all have page numbers? I don't have page numbers. You sit down on the left side.
The detail, all the report, it's on the left side. On that. Well, I think paper slant.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the May financial reports and the payment of claims 948,495 through 948,761 for GLCSD. It's been motion and second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it, motion is carried. Let the record show Dr. Roshan Bailey voting nay. Dr. Brown?
Page 292, you have the consent agenda, which includes minutes of the special call board meeting of Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, minutes of the regular board meeting of Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, minutes of the special call board meeting of Monday, June 7th, 2021, minutes of the special call board meeting of Tuesday, June 8th, 2021, minutes of the special call board meeting of Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021, minutes of the special call board meeting of Tuesday, June 29th of 2021, minutes of the work session of Wednesday, June 30th of 2021, and minutes of a special call board meeting of Thursday, July 1st, 2021.
And what page does this end on?
Page 292 through. Mine is cut off, but at the top is 131. 3 pages on the back.
Okay, I see it. Page 131 at the top. Now, bottom is cut off, that's why I can't see. Okay, Dr. Brown, did you read it?
The superintendent recommends approval of the consent agenda.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. The motion is second, all in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. All right, Chair will entertain a motion to close this meeting for consideration of executive session. Hold on for 1 second. Okay, did anybody, make them say it?
You had a motion and it was second.
Okay, it's been motion and second. Did you get it, Ms. Flowers? All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried. Board members, make sure